When the application is first opened, it should open up the login window, which is displayed exactly like this, with text boxes to log in as either a customer using username and email, or a manager using their ID. For manager login, if the user provides input that is not an integer, it should open up the error window, which looks exactly like this, and it should display an invalid operation exception with this exact error message displayed here. If a valid integer is entered, but it is not correct ID credentials, it should open up the error window again with an unauthorized access exception and this exact error message here. If the details are valid, it should replace the existing window with the manager dashboard. The manager dashboard is formatted exactly like this, including 4 buttons for filtering the table view, and a table view that displays all of the animals inside the adoption center, regardless of their adoption status, with a column for each of its respective properties. If the manager opens up the user list, it should open up a new window, which is formatted like this, and it should display a list of all of the users inside the adoption center. There's no expectation to have a placeholder element here, as there will always be seeded data inside the users class. However, on Python, there should be a column header here named users. If the manager wants to add to the adoption center, they can click add and it will open the add animal window like this. The add animal window is displayed exactly like this, including the type field. The drop down should be automatically set to cat. For the age field, if the user enters something that isn't a valid integer, it should open up the error window that displays an invalid operation exception and this exact error message here. Also, for the name field, if the user enters a name of an animal that is already present inside the adoption center, regardless of what type of animal they are, it should open up an error window with an invalid operation exception with this exact error message here. So this does not need to check the type of the animal. This error should still show up if I chose dog or if I chose rabbit. Additionally, this add button should only be activated when all fields have data inside them. When the manager presses the add button, it should add a new animal to the adoption center, and the list inside the table view here should be automatically updated, as you can see here. If the manager wants to remove an animal from the adoption center, they must first select an animal inside the list for the remove button to become activated, and can remove directly from the adoption center. If no animal is selected inside the view here, so for example in Java, if the user manually unselects using control-click, or in Python, when the tree view resets and the selection already becomes unselected, either way, the remove button should not be activated if nothing is selected inside the list view. If the manager tries to remove an animal that has already been adopted, it should open up the error window that displays an invalid operation exception and this exact error message here. Closing the manager dashboard should close the entire program as well. There's no expectation to return to the login view. To log in as a customer, the user must provide credentials for both the username and email. There's no integer validation checks here because these are both strings. However, if the customer credentials are not valid, it should open up the error window with an unauthorized access exception with this exact error message here. And if the details are valid, it should replace the entire window with the customer dashboard. The customer dashboard looks like this, including a welcome message for the user's first name and a list view of all of the adoptable animals inside the adoption center. So any animal that has already been adopted, which would have been present on the manager dashboard, is not present on this list here. If the user presses the My Details window, it should open up a new window here for My Details, which displays the user's name, as well as a list of adopted animals. For Java, there should be a placeholder here that says no animals adopted if the list does not have any animals inside it. For Python, this is not a requirement. However, in Python, the list here should have a column heading called adopted animals. To adopt an animal, the customer can press the adopt button from the customer dashboard. This adopt button should only become active when an animal has been selected in the view. And the same logic applies from the manager dashboard, where if for any reason there is no selection on the list view, then the adopt button should not be present. So pressing adopt on this button should automatically update the adopted animals list inside the details window. If the customer attempts to adopt more animals of the same type above the adoption limit, then it should open up the error window with an invalid operation exception and this exact error message here. Closing the customer dashboard should close the entire application as well. Now, there are two pieces of advanced functionality required to get a high distinction. The first is on the login window here. So, the text boxes for the the customer login and the manager login should react to each other, and the login button should react as well. So essentially, these two boxes here, one with the username and email and one with the manager ID, these are two separate ways to log in. You would never want to do both at the same time. Therefore, when the user has any content inside the manager ID column, the username and email fields should become deactivated and have no way to enter data into them. Likewise, if any data is entered into either the username or the email field, the manager ID text box becomes deactivated as well. Separate to all this, the login button should only become active if all the necessary fields for one of the login methods has been achieved. So for the manager, that is as simple as the ID field having content inside it. However, for the customer login, that requires both the username and the email field to have data inside it, like so. The second piece of advanced functionality is on the manager dashboard here. So the manager should be able to filter the table view by the type of animal, so by cat, dog, rabbit, or back to all. Now, the remove functionality should still work inside the filtered view. So if I remove from the filter here, on one that is available at least, it should keep the same filter and remove from the list, as well as, of course, being removed from the entire list as well. There's no expectation for this to work with the add animal functionality. This will be tested entirely separately. So to get the marks for the advanced filtering here, simply the view has to update with the filter, as well as removing still being possible from a filtered view.